Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. If you love these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you can see it and you can purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we're discussing what might have been the high watermark of the Breguet 5817 Marine family. This is the 5817 ST with a lush guilloche gold and blue dial. It's a gold base with silver and blue atop, hand guilloche executed with a rose lathe. This watch, 39mm in stainless steel, is not just a high watermark for the first generation Marine under the Swatch Group, but it's probably an all-time high watermark for the Marine period, being more robust on the wrist than the Marines of the 90s and more classically beautiful than the Marine that debuted in 2018. That line is still finding its footing aesthetically. This one aced it from the gun. On my wrist, 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see the 39mm watch has surprising wrist presence. Like a royal oak, it wears larger than its nominal size, and that's because the lugs are long and strong. 49.8mm lug-to-lug. The watch has an impressive span across the wrist, so the timepiece looks more like a 41 or a 42. It's thin, however. Only 11.9mm thick. This one snuck up on me. I didn't expect it to be almost half a millimeter thinner than a Rolex Daytona, but that's exactly what it is. This watch will slip underneath any cuff. Now, getting a little bit closer to the lugs, you can see in detail there is a 20mm spacing, so you're going to have a world of aftermarket and OEM options in the 20mm size. That's a very common size, but the factory strap is probably perfect because it's designed to hug the flanks of the lugs as well as the arc of the case. The look is highly integrated and it gives the watch its impressive wrist stance and presence. There's a sort of pyramid pattern embossed on the top of the natural vulcanized rubber strap, which you can see is quite thick and it nicely matches the swell of the lugs. But it also has material removed, top and bottom, so that it's very pliant and flexible. It's supple, almost like a gummy, but it is rubber. You'll also note that the strap itself features a unique wave pattern underneath that helps to vent the wrist, creating a little bit of an air pocket. Design parallelism is strong here as you have that wave pattern on the strap. You have it in the crown guards. You have it in the design of the buckle as well as the shape of the minders on the strap itself. Now, working our way down to those minders, I always appreciate metal hardware on a strap. When the minders are steel, especially when they're fully finished and high polished, they give the watch a quality that just exudes craftsmanship and attention to detail. You'll also note that the clasp itself is fixed by a screw, not a spring bar, so it's quite secure, just like the lugs themselves. The clasp is substantial. You can see the Breguet name engraved on top of satin with the remainder of high polish, absolute security on the wrist, as well as a good deal of metallurgical pulchritude. Moving back to the case, it's classic modern era Breguet with the coined case flanks, cold rolled and then hand finished, and you can see the lugs are strong, welded on with a sharp break between caseband and lug facing. They're highly angular and nicely polished, and you can see the bezel itself surprisingly softens the lines of the watch as it's a sort of double Gadron stepped system, so a double domed profile that gives way to a dial best described as a work of art in its own right. It's a solid gold base, which is then cut on a rose lathe by a Guilloche, an artisan who does only rose lathe work, first hand drawing the pattern and then executing it with a cam-operated 19th century engine that creates this pattern. A few features worth mentioning. There's a gorgeous rose lathe spiral sunburst at center. You can see that pattern and incredibly dynamic in the light. Second, I want to call attention to the fact that the hour track is dropped down from the center dial and the outer calibrations for minutes and seconds. The individual stylized Roman numerals are both blued and applique metal. They are not printed on or cut. They are separate hand-placed elements. And then you can see that the track for the hours is silvered with a circular concentric graining outboard diamond indices outboard of each hour, and the hands themselves beautifully bright polished, a lovely counterweight to the seconds hand with Breguet style hands, fully loomed for reading the hours and minutes. There's a cut aperture for the date at 6 o'clock, so a nice smooth cut transition with facets from the date plane down to the discs, and the print is blue on silver. There is a quick set system for rapidly cycling. A beautifully executed dial. You could hang this on your wall and be completely justified in calling it a work of handcrafted art. But it does get better. Now, compared to the Type 20s, 21s, and 22s, the Marines were better finished internally, partly because instead of having the work done by Lamagna, which is not traditionally a high horology manufacturer within Swatch Group, the Marine calibers of the 517 family, like you see here, were executed by Breguet Piguet, or manufacturer Blancpain, which also does work for Audemars Piguet and Vacheron, among others. Now, the rotor itself is also cut on a rose lathe, so that's another true hand guilloche piece. You'll also note that the watch, water resistant to 100 meters thanks to a screw down crown and secure case back, is fully swimmable. The balance beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and the twin mainspring barrels of the Breguet Piguet 1150 base give this watch a superb 65-hour power reserve and a very even torque release, so the watch can keep time superbly from full wind to minimum wind. The watch is adjusted in 5 positions like a chronometer, so it is a highly precise watch featuring 35 jewels. This is a super premium automatic movement that is finished to match. As you can see, a rich abrasive wheel Côte de Genève. There is a mirrored anglage on the edge of every bridge with the same feature evident in the screw and jewel countersinks, with every screw head black polished. It is a very handsome high horology movement for a handsome high horology sports watch. The timepiece does not disappoint front or back. Perhaps the only technical shortcoming being the lack of hacking seconds. Short of that, everything else about this watch is scintillating. See it and make it your scintillating Marine on the watch box. Breguet Marine 5817 by night. Note that the hands and the indices are different color luminova. See it by day on the watch box.